So we continue our conversation, countermeasures for modern energy harvesting, by getting more into the psychological profiles. And again, we have to preface this topic by saying that it's not for the faint or weak-hearted. It is a deliberate practice which will force you to envelop a significant amount of information in a short period of time. We call it a fire hose often, and even to turn over some stones that you probably didn't even know exist until you began asking some of the questions that you'll find here. But what you'll discover is it's better for you to ask the questions and to discover the answers than to have your adversaries find the answers while asking the questions unknowingly or unbeknownst to you, like we're in a Shakespearean play or something. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Darius Riddick. I'm a performance physiologist, and I really made human efficiency my entire identity. My mission is to help winners win, those who have a desire to secede from the 99% to the 2.1%, but just to be better leaders. I feel like we have a duty and an obligation, even now, with a more advanced understanding of the human platform, and plus the technological architecture between artificial intelligence, soon to be autonomous intelligence, and the coupling of that as we're finding the human machine relationship. There's no better time to win. There's no better time to be great. And there's no better time to have a brighter, bolder, more vast future than now, even as we're traversing new frontiers. I think all of it, even our partnerships in like aerospace defense, and our support of humankind's reach for the stars, whether it's technological systems, whether it's quantum technology, whether it's rocket propulsion, all of them, I believe, at the center serve the human centric model. And it's like, if we don't talk about how to make the human better, what's the point? The heartbeat of an organization is the individual. We take it to the smallest subunit level and say, well, if the person is not better, if the employee is not better, if that cog is not good, then the entire machine doesn't really function. And sure, you can replace them, but if you have a lot of rusty cogs, many parts that barely work, that don't function, it's only a matter of time before the entire machine fails. And we've seen that happen time and time and time again. The only difference is, before, we didn't have the ability to see what was really wrong, but now we do. And countermeasures for modern energy harvesting is the convergence of all that information. It's what we do with Human Group, what we do with Endure Beyond, and this whole idea of human expansion and readiness. For those of you that don't know, I am a performance physiologist by trade, and that looks at the matrimony, the intersection of sports psychology, which is apex minds, in exercise physiology, which is just how a complex interaction of equations help get better. And primarily, I look at skeletal muscle as the organ of longevity. But all of it comes back to psychological robustness, which is a topic that we've looked at in previous instances with high consequence team, whether that be in CIA special activities, it be a development group with the Navy special warfare, even explosive ordnance disposal, whether that's across all four services. And then you get into D1 athlete psychology, because those who are most successful in those high consequence environments share the same mental principles. And what we found through the research is that a majority of them come from some uh, athlete background, because it's a different culture, it's a different competitive nature. Like, I don't know about you, but I love to win. I came from an athlete background too: baseball, football, soccer, whenever I felt like being a little bit soft, uh, no shade intended. Or even wrestling, it's the competitive drive, and you'll find that it helps in these environments, because the same principles shared on the field or on the court, on the track, are the ones that translates to the environment. So whether it's on Earth, it's on the moon, it's the occupation of Mars, I think it's really important that we discuss these topics. So you'll see it paired, psychological robustness, with D1 athlete psychology. Sometimes we refer to it as the psychology of a D1 athlete. But as we get into countermeasures for modern energy harvesting, the first thing that we always discuss is so I'm gonna make myself bigger here so you can actually see me. The C1 principle. And the C1 principle is going to be complete and utter discrimination, ruthlessly, of everything you interact with. And then I put in parentheses here, like always, I say vehicles. So it's a callback to one of our previous lectures with vehicles to say, like, hey, everything is intended to get something from point A to point B. That something is what we typically refer to as cargo. Your role is to identify people, places, and things, auditory, visual, digestive, even the romantic and platonic situations, your boss, your peers, your subordinates, every single person, every single thing has some sort of purpose, taking something from somewhere. You identify what that is, what the cargo is, and you have a better chance of winning. Whether winning to you is making more money, you want to go from a million to 10 million, 10 million to 100 million, from 9 to 10 figures, or you want to have gain more power, maybe whether that's positional or just the evolution of self. Or if you want to gain a better framework of health, if you want to be built like a super soldier or a Greek god, or maybe you just want to get in better shape, hey man, your goals are your own. But the point is that I see I missed a letter here. But the point is, I'm a physiologist, not a grammar dude. Bear with me here. The point is that they all lead to the same place. But that is the first understanding. C1. First thing you got to understand is this entire practice is a complete and utter discrimination, ruthlessly, of everything you interact with. And if you're not willing to do that, then my friend, you are in the wrong spot. Now, in this version, we're going to go over just a few of the principles that we found in the research for countermeasures for modern energy harvesting, specifically with psychological robustness in D1 athlete psychology. And a few of them you've probably heard us say before. First is mental heuristics. Okay. Second is I'm hesitant to put this word in here, but I'm gonna put it, and I'm gonna put consistency, but we're gonna give it a different level of intelligence and say mission aligned. And I'm gonna explain why here that's really important. And then reps, obviously, and I'm sure for those of you that have been here many times before, you already know that that is how you spell repeat? Repeatable, efficient, predictable, sustainable systems. Again, not a grammar guy, so bear with me here. I do the human body really well. We don't do words too well. Let me make sure that you guys can still see what I'm doing there. All right. So first is mental heuristics. Okay. And just to make this very clear, because typically how I see mental heuristics is the understanding that from a cognitive perspective, everyone takes shortcuts. Okay. People cut corners, and how you do one thing is how you do everything. If that wasn't true, then we wouldn't have subconscious, unconscious, and conscious behavior. There would just be one level of it. Okay. Humans don't have that level of autonomy. And if we do, then you recognize, like, okay, if I cut corners in one place, chances are I'm cutting corners somewhere else. The point of view is not to say, like, hey, you need to be locked in all the time. Like, that's great to be sharp, to be ruthless. Awesome. But it's the understanding that you want to ensure that those places that you cut corners won't come back to bite you in the ass later on. And most importantly, that your adversaries won't take advantage of that, because that could be more than a bite. It could be obviously a quick journey to the grave. So I look at it as simple as that. Like, I like to keep things really simple, very straightforward. But by definition, mental heuristic says subconscious rules of thumb, cognitive shortcuts that allow the brain to make fast, efficient decisions under uncertainty. Now, to an untrained perspective, you're like, oh, that's great. My brain is going to have a rapid envelopment of information and then be able to apply it in a very lethal way. That's very crucial to battle space intelligence. Yes, but if you remember one of our previous lectures, there are these things called scotomas on the battle space, where blind spots. You also have that in your judgment. We had a study, I would say 6 months back with Titan Works, where we looked at decision velocity, specifically high quality decision velocity, or HQDV, the practice of making rapid decisions of the highest performing humans on earth, those who are capital allocators, who are battlefield generals, or people who have to trust information and then verify it through decision. So here's the part of this where you need to keep in mind is that the subsequent part of this definition says, while these shortcuts conserve mental energy, they can lead to systematic errors and cognitive biases. Now, that's the probably most important part of this whole thing, is why I said it's important to understand where you are and unturn those stones as much as you possibly can, and to just ask questions, because oftentimes you can say, oh, this is how it's supposed to work, but just because that's how it's supposed to work from your perspective does not mean it is the most effective. We're going to get into that later. But as we're kind of running short on time here, because I always promise you guys these will be pretty short. Consistency. Now, the pop culture media talks about consistency a lot. They'll be like, "You just got to be consistent, bro. You got to be consistent." And like, I just want consistency. Now, I'm all for saying consistency, but I think that where we are, especially if you're engaging with this content, that that that's surface level. The reason why for countermeasures for modern energy harvesting, putting consistency with mission aligned is because you can be consistently mediocre. Okay, you can be consistently cutting corners. You can be consistently half-assing things. You can be consistently lapsed in romance. You can be consistently self-sabotaging. You understand what I'm saying? Like consistency doesn't serve a positive or negative connotation. So one of the most important things to do here is to first establish your mission and to say, yes, consistency is important, but consistency is most important when you're taking actions towards either the identity of the person that you're trying to develop to serve the mission or the overarching mission. So I think it's really important just to understand the basics of that. Consistency, mission aligned is the only way to make it work. Otherwise, you could be consistently wasting time, energy, and capital. You understand? So, more there's direct examples of that later on. And then, of course, we have our home-based militaristic framework of reps, which is repeatable, efficient, predictable, sustainable systems. And we've talked about this quite a bit, but I think it's so universal and so important that it should be mentioned with almost every conversation that we have. Best way to solve problems uh, in modern society for high level battle space intelligence is to ask questions, and not just surface level questions, ones that really probe, ones that kind of make people squirm a little bit or start moving different, because you'll find that's really where the answer to your problems actually are. That's how you solve complex problems. That's how you answer some of the things that humankind has been dealing with for centuries. But reps allows you to do that. Like before you engage with something, like say if you're an athlete on a team and you're trying to decide what to eat, you're trying to decide what to do, you're trying to decide where to go. You just say, hey, does this follow the reps framework? Is it repeatable? Can I do it over and over again? Okay. Is it efficient? Is it going to give me a greater return or a better performance on the back end? Is it predictable? Has it been done before and we can build on it? Or do I have enough information to make an informed decision to where that I can predict what the outcome is going to be? And is it sustainable? Again, it's kind of synonymous with repeatable, but repeatable just says that you can do it over and over and over again. Whereas sustainable means that you can do it over and over again at a high output. Okay. And that's kind of goes back to the 10-70-20 rule, but it gives you a greater return the more that you can do it, right? What's the point of doing something over and over and over again if it's not going to be repeated and then you get more over time? And that's what we call a system. Most teams, most people, the smallest unit of a team, a relationship, whether that's high consequence, low consequence, confined, subterranean, exo-orbital, they typically fail because the system has failed, right? They engineer it in a way that doesn't follow reps. So it can be done. You can get there, but the difference is, especially why it's so important as we look at, psychological robustness, is getting there is one thing. Staying there is completely different. And even as we look at some of these high consequence teams, as we're validating some of these people who can work together, when we're looking at, how do we establish a lunar outpost? How do we go forth with the occupation of Mars? We're looking at space flight, even policy, like athlete culture development. They all share the same human-centric model. But the word I want you guys to take away from this as we close out is permanence. Remember, it requires more of you to maintain than to obtain, just like the goal is not just to arrive somewhere, it's to thrive somewhere. That's where the glory of winning really is.